One of the films nominated for Best Picture is Django Unchained, and one of the actresses from the movie happens to be a friend of mine from high school, and she took me to the plantation where the movie was filmed.
Hello, ladies.
Dr. Schultz, may I introduce to you Broomhilda?
I still look at you and I see the girl who used to walk the hallways of Hammond High School. I mean, we used to walk past each other in lockers. We used to, you know,
I was saying earlier that I don't know how many dances I would have gotten to have in school, in my high school years, had I not had you as my dance partner.
Fond memories for sure, but when my old friend Laura Cayette took me on a tour of Evergreen, the real-life plantation where Django Unchained was shot, we switched gears fast.
These are the original slave quarters, and as far as I know, this is the only one that is still as it was at the time, completely original.
Wow, that is amazing. How was it shooting and, you know, having people dressed up as slaves here at the time? It had to be.
You know, I think the day that was the weirdest, I wasn't actually working, was apparently the day of the whipping.
They caught my wife and they sold her, but I don't know who to.
Kerry Washington is Broomhilda, the slave who suffers at the hands of a cruel plantation owner. Jane Body, director of Evergreen, vividly recalls that day on set. This is where they shot the scene with Kerry getting whipped.
Yes, this is the whipping scene.
Tell me about that.
Actually, that post laying right there was part of what they had her tied to.
Oh, this one right here?
This one right there. So that there was a structure here that they actually tied her to. I just can't tell you how that felt. It took all day to do this, and part of the reason is you could just do it for a little bit at a time. And she screamed, it seemed like for hours. You just heard that. You heard that in your sleep later. It's just an astounding thing.
I went to the plantation where you shot Django.
Evergreen.
Evergreen, and they had on the ground the actual piece of wood that you were strapped to that day. It is amazing when you go there how it changes you.
You know, it was crazy. Sam Jackson talks about how when we first got there, the birds were flying and the bees were buzzing, and there were all the sort of sounds of the woods, and that when the sound of the whip cracked through the air, everything stopped. It was like all of nature was afraid that we were going to step back in time, and it was very, very profound.